Hey y'all, welcome to a sunny edition of Lamb Living. My name is Holly Lamb, and we're in the final push of the school year. It's after spring break, and everything is kind of coming to a close. We had a great time on spring break. My sister and brother-in-law came down, and we walked all over Fort Frederica and Christchurch, and we went to the Labyrinth. We went over to Jekyll. This is Driftwood Beach, and we just had a great time. But now it's time to start thinking about summer. And even though it is beautiful spring right now, we are going to be making some sunflower and bee decor, and I'll talk more about that collaboration in a little bit. We start off at the Goodwill, and I found this Lazy Susan. It was $5.99, and I thought that, my thought was that seemed a little high, but really this hardware is substantial. It's a nice, steady piece. It works really well. So I decided I was going to use my Decoupage Queen Bee with roses and honeycomb on it. I got this from L&J Goods website, and she has all kinds of Decoupage Queen. She even has some of her designs, Lynn does, on the website, on the Decoupage Queen series. And they're all just beautiful, beautiful decoupage papers. So I decided I was just going to put that on the top. I was going to keep the sides this laminate wood look because my kitchen table, you see the wood there, that's my kitchen countertop. But the kitchen table is just a little bit darker, the little dinette set we have. And it's just about this color. So I decided I would just leave the sides the laminate color, and I would paint the top Plaster by Waverly that I get at Walmart, and I'm going to end up putting 3 coats on it. And you see that I'm kind of brushing off. Of course, I'm brushing in the middle, and then when I go to the edges, I'm going to brush away and then off of the side. But even though I'm trying this to keep it off the sides, I'm going to use a baby wipe every once in a while and just make sure that I'm keeping it off the sides, so it looks nice and clean when I'm finished. And so here is coat number 1, and I end up putting 2 more coats on there so that I have a nice base for my paper. Now, a little bit is going to have to be sacrificed, so I decided to leave a nice big part above the words Queen and Bee, and that bottom part is what's going to be cut off, but I'll save that for my journal, and I won't waste that because it's a really pretty print with the honeycomb on it and the little bit of greenery. And so I'm going to do this in 2 parts. I'm going to use my Mod Podge Matte. Yes. Goodness, I said that too fast. And I'm going to put a nice coat on, and you see I pulled it just a little bit there to make sure that I didn't have any bubble right in the middle. So I put half on, I turn it around, I pull it just a hair so I make sure that I have the glue all over everywhere. And then I'm going to use my brayer there. I think that's the medium size one, the one I get from Amazon. It's a set of 3, and I use them all probably equally as much. Love those. And then I use these nail files probably in every video, so you're probably tired of seeing them. But honestly, I haven't bought a pack in months and months, like last fall, and I'm still going strong. They last a really long time, and they're great little sanders. And I can use them on my nails. Bonus. So there we go. I just love spinning it around. It's so nice. There's my little extra piece. Now, I'm going to use these Craft Smart stencils. These are the cardboard. They're really cardstock stencils. And look, $9.99. And we all know that Michael's is always running sales. So, typically I can get at least 20% off of anything in the store, one item. And so I did not pay $10 for these stencils. But I don't mind the cardstock stencils at all. It's just only one of the sheets is punched out for you. You have to do the rest of the work yourself. So that's all right. I just, put on one of my favorite creators on YouTube, and I just punch away. And that's what I do when I am, or I'm watching, or I'm listening to TV with Kevin. because the kitchen is part of the great room, so I can easily do that as I'm working there at the kitchen counter. So I'm going to use this kind of laurel leafy print or stencil here on one side. These two gold colors are from the Crafter Square. One is that metallic and one is that acryology acrylic paint that they've come out with, which I think I have every color now. I love that stuff. As acrylic paints go, it's a really nice paint, and you get a lot of it in those bottles. So I was trying to decide which color I wanted to use on this because there's absolutely no gold in this paper. I'm going to have to add it if I want it. And so I just compromised, and I'm going to use both. So I don't, I didn't want to choose. So I'm trying to do a mixture of both. I thought the one in the tube, okay, I'm showing you here my JRV, my favorite 1-inch stencil brush. It's my favorite. I have two of them, one for dark colors and one for light. And, but one of the golds there, it really looks like honey. And then one is a little bit more of an antique gold, but I couldn't choose, so I'm going to use both. So there is, and I'm just going to do one more little set of that leaf. So it goes all the way down one side, and then on the other side where those kind of pink and mauve roses are, I'm going to kind of give those a little bit of a gold shimmer with this honeycomb stencil right there. And I'm going to keep resetting the pattern as I go down, and I'm just kind of doing it randomly. I'm not trying to keep it straight, but I'm just trying to stay in the honeycomb cutouts. If I get a little bit on an extra, I'm just going to rub it in with my finger here in a minute just to give it a little bit of a glittery look. There we go. I'm just going to rub that in right there. And then I'm going to rub it in on the crown in just a minute. But I wanted to show you what I do with these cardboard stencils to keep them from bowing, keep them from bubbling up and getting bumpy. I just take some acrylic paint and I put it on the back. And I'm showing you some of the other stencils I'm going to use in this pack in this video. I'm going to use a lot of them. And I'm going to paint on the back just one coat, just a real light coat of any kind of color. This is the acryology lemon there on the left. And look at those gorgeous colors I just found at the Dollar Tree today. They're so perfect for summer, so bright and cheery. I love them. And so I'm just going to take a little bit. I'm just barely putting it on my finger and rubbing it over the crown so it just has a little shimmer. Not too much, just a little. Then I'm going to take it outside and make sure it is sealed in, especially those edges, because I don't want anything to peel up. I want it to be nice and solid. So I'm going to put 2 coats of my Rust-Oleum Matte Clear. And there we go. I love this decoupage paper, and look at it on my kitchen table. I'll come down here on the bottom and you can see it just almost is the same color as that laminate, and you can't even tell. It doesn't even look like laminate. It looks like wood. I think that turned out great. I'm real pleased with that little Lazy Susan from my kitchen table. All right, now we're in Hello Goodbye, and I found this little guy and the half-off green stickers for that day. And look at the pretty little rounded corners, nice steady sign. It's had $5 on it. You can see right there. So I paid $2.50. And I'm going to paint the outer edge in the ink, which is the black chalk paint by Waverly. And this sticker on the back, one of the stickers on the back said Big Lots. So this came from Big Lots, which Big Lots has a lot of pretty decor, actually. And this print is very pretty. It just is, not what I wanted for today. So I'm going to take that black paint right up on the edge and on the sides of this little raised portion in the center. Yep, I'm just pushing it up into that little crevice. And then, of course, I'm going to use my favorite standby, the plaster color, and cover up that print and give myself a nice place to, are you ready? I'm going to be painting a sunflower a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I'm excited about it. I was excited to give it a try. You know, if I can paint something, I can paint a flower, surely. I don't paint faces or hands or anything too detailed like that, but I think I can handle a sunflower. And so there we go. Oops, I got a little bit of white on the black, so no problem. I'll just take a detail brush and make sure it's all nice and neat and ready for my next step. So I get my palette out that I bought at Michael's one time, and I've used it a couple of times, and I wash it out. And there's the two golds. Now we've got a yellow, a deep yellow, the eggnog white, and of course that ink. And then I'm going to be adding some of the antique wax. That's that big blob of brown there that came out too fast. So I'm just going to be using the antique wax out of my palette for a little while. Okay, and then there's my stencil brush, my JRV stencil brush. It's stiff, but not too stiff. It's got a little bit of softness to it, and it's super dense. And so as long as I take the paint to almost dry, it never fails me. Stencils have become my friend. Used to get globs and globs, and it was a stencil brush and a too much paint problem. All right, so from my Craftsmart stencils from Michael's, that big pack there, I got the big flower. I guess it's a sunflower for the dots in the middle. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the deep yellow on half of the brush and then the yellow on the other half, and then put a little bit of the gold on the side of the brush. I'm going to start at the tip and just bring it down really kind of quickly. I find that if I'm drawing a line or if I'm drawing something that I want to be smooth, if I have a quicker stroke and a more confident stroke, I'm more apt to get a straighter line or circle or whatever if I do it with a little bit of speed. If I do it slow, I'm apt to get like bumps and wiggles. So there we go. I did both ways with the same technique. And then I'm going to come in with some of the antique wax and gold. And I'm going to kind of put a little bit of darkness there in the middle of my petal, where those two swoops, I guess I'll call them, came together. And so I've got lots of little texture in the color. Not really texture, but a lot of little streaks and colors going through the petals. And then I'm adding the darkness. And then I'm just going to kind of bring that antique wax brown with the gold in it into the middle. And I'm just going to take my time. And I'm going to keep turning. I should have it on Lazy Susan, but I just keep turning it around. And I'm kind of dabbing, not really painting this in. I feel like I'm doing more of a stencil technique, really. And dabbing in that antique wax. And then eventually, that little blob of black chalk paint, I'm going to start adding in the middle. So I have that, that dark, that signature sunflower darkness in the middle. And there we go. We're starting to add the black. And I left a lot of this painting in. I hope, you can fast forward if you want to, but I always enjoy watching people paint when they give it a try, and I was really enjoying it. It may not, it's certainly not Rembrandt or, Van Gogh, but I was pretty happy with it. Now, I wanted to make the tips just a little bit pointier and wispier. So it was kind of a big blob of paint there at the end of the petals. So I just pulled out that paint and made it a little bit of a tip on the ends and made it kind of wispy, a little bit more pointed. Now I'm going to take it outside. I'm outside on my deck and at the table. And I'm going to use my sanding block from the Dollar Tree and my nail files there. And I'm going to rough up all the edges, including the white border, the white edges on the sunflower, the rectangular portion. And then I'm going to very carefully take my baby wipe. And I'm not going to run the the black over the white portion. I'm just going to, clean it off. And back to the spray paint table down in the yard. And then I'm going to use the antique wax as a wax this time. And I love using this brown wax over black distressed chalk paint. It just gives it this deep, rich color as I kind of swirl it on, and then I'm going to swirl it and buff it in with just a dry paper towel. This is not a baby wipe. This is a dry paper towel. I know you see baby wipes over there, but I was just cleaning it. I've just got some white paper towels there, you see. And I'm just going to kind of rub that in and buff it in. I'm not going to leave any thickness of wax on. I'm just going to wax it. And the top's going to get clear wax because I prefer that finish. Rust-Oleum Matte Clear gives me a beautiful matte finish. But I wanted a little bit of texture with the matte finish, and that's what clear wax is going to give me. And so again, I'm just using a white paper towel, dry paper towel. And here we are. I decided to hang this beside the hutch in my dining room. The hutch is that plaster color. I didn't paint it with plaster chalk paint, but that's the way it came. Most of my furniture is a little bit on the off-white side. And so this just looks perfect beside the hutch there. You can see it. I was real pleased with it. All right. Now let's move on to our last DIY of this video. I found these, gosh, I don't even remember when. I've had these in my stash for a long time. And they are already black on the sides. So I'm going to do this quickly because I'm going to do the same technique on these that I did on the other. And I'm going to keep the chalk paint off of the black sides because these three are going to go on the other side of my hutch. And so they'll kind of balance out my sunflower there. And so there I am, messy, messy. So I'm going to end up putting one coat. It's already black, but the texture is not chalk paint. So texture, has a little bit of a sheen, like a satin sheen. So I want it all to be the same. So I put one coat of the ink on the sides, and then I'm going to just sand it in. I didn't want it to look so crisp and so pristine. It looked a little stuffy, for lack of a better term. I wanted it to look a little bit more lived in, not rustic per se, but I just wanted it to look a little more settled in. So I cleaned my hands first with a baby wipe, then I got a clean one and cleaned off the dark dust off the plaster painted section. And there we go. And I'm going to hold up one that's not sanded. I don't know if you can tell there, but I just think the sanded version looks a little better. All right, now then I get to play. I get all my stamps out, and I will end up using That's Queen Bee by IOD. And that is Birds and Bees. I don't end up using the birds and the bees because I use the bee from Queen Bee. And then that is a black ink pad from the Dollar Tree, and that is a gold from Michael's. All right, so each one of these three signs is going to get a stencil and some stamps. So here I go with my stencil brush again, and I've got a paper towel laid out there on the other side of my palette. And I dab, 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 and I'm using a little bit of antique wax and some of the gold to get my the hive color there on this stamp. This stencil set, that Craft Smart, the one there, the $10 one, there are so many stencils in this thing. I have several different versions of that stencil. You know, I have a farmhouse, I've got a beach version, a sea life, and I mean, there's just so many stencils. You couldn't possibly do them all. All right, now I'm using the sunflower. That's what that yellow thing is there from the Crafter Square stamp set. There we go. I don't end up using it on this one, but I am going to use that sunflower from the Crafter Square stamps on one of them, and I'll show that to you in a minute. I'm going to use a thin mount, which I cut down. That I have just this one is just a strip of it. I have a couple of them. I have one that I've left big and then one that I cut up into a couple different sizes to be able to line things up. I just like it because it has the nice grid. And it's not completely stiff, but it's stiff enough where I have control over when it finally, I can commit to where I want it to be placed on my project. And then I hold still with one hand and push, push, push with the other. And I get a nice clean stamp. And I wipe off my stamps immediately because this is permanent ink with a baby wipe. And I didn't think that the bee itself was dark enough, so I went ahead. I had a mixture of the gold and the black on the first stamping, and so I just put a little bit more black on to make the bee just a wee bit darker. Now this is Farmhand, one of their fonts from IOD. This is an older font, but I think you could still, I think it's still available on, you know, I get most of my IOD from Cottle and Gun, from Deb, down in St. Mary's, and I have her website linked below in my description box, but I get some of mine from Lynn at L&J Goods as well. But this one is a really nice, almost kind of a Ray Dunn looking font. And so I wanted to put that honey pot, but there just wasn't going to be enough space. So I end up putting the honey dipper stencil. But I'm going to go ahead and get my letters in first. So put the thin mount on, and then I'm going to ink it up. Just going to use the black ink. And the way these stamps from IOD are designed, they're designed, you can ink it up really good, and it's still going to give you a little bit of a rustic look. It's just how the stamps are designed. And it's just beautiful. You're going to love these letters. I know I do. And I love all the fonts that I have, but this is a fun one. I thought it'd be fun for this little trio of pictures. So I'm putting Hey Honey. That's what I call Kevin. He's my honey. And here goes the dipper. That's all I could fit on this. I didn't want to clutter it up too much. And I'll show you the third one in the reveal here in just a second. That's the one I used the sunflower stamp from Dollar Tree on. And here it is. Hey, honey. Love it. Love it. So here we go. Toby's peeking out around the corner, always watching me. I love him so. So there's our little bee with the skeep. And here's our Hey Honey with the dipper. And then here is Let It Be. And I put the sunflower stamp almost in the middle. I got close. Not quite, but close. And I just love the way those turned out. I thought they looked so fun and balanced on the other side. I want to thank Tosha from Sunflower Tosha DIYs and Miss Cynde from Z9 Designs. They are our hosts for this collaboration, and their channels are linked below in my description box, as well as the playlist. And they've made lots of fun and lots of great crafters and creators down there who always make so many fun things, don't they, Toby? We love to listen to them and watch them as we craft. I want to leave you with a psalm today. This is Psalm 136. And this is the His Love Endures Forever psalm. To him who alone does great wonders, his love endures forever. Who by his understanding made the heavens, his love endures forever. For his loving kindness is everlasting, his love endures forever. The sun to rule the day, his love endures forever. The moon and stars to govern the night, his love endures forever. Truly, as we are in the glow of Easter, Jesus, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit's love endures forever and will sustain us. Thank you for watching. I hope you'll like this video and subscribe to my channel and come back whenever you can. Thanks for watching. God bless. See you next time.